Okay, we're off now.
Okay, right, what have you got?
I got some
You're
stuff for you.
excited about
I'm,
something.
I'm
You're
excited.
excited.
I
I can
reckon.
tell. I can
Oh,
tell
you can
from.
tell from my
Yeah.
expression in the virtual world. I wish I could see the token burn rate stats because I, at a guess, I would say I burned between 60 and 100 US dollars worth today. Easy, easy.
It's you know how we were talking about whether should we spend the $200
This
for
is maybe the
ludicrous.
best
It seemed
deal I've
ludicrous,
ever
didn't it?
got. Like, I feel like I'm ripping them off with how much consumption I'm getting for the
Oh,
all-you-can-eat
I'm
inference.
sure they'll extract their pound of flesh
I
eventually.
yeah, well, they may have overcooked it. Anyway, so based on the encouragement that you gave me to say, look, you shouldn't be coding anymore at all, even though you feel like you have AI assistance, you should be reasoning first, getting the spec down, getting the spec right between modules, getting the interface correct, and only then, after all that painful work is done, where you have to actually think, then should you get the code to be rendered by the bot, not with your measly little fingers. So,
Correct.
um, yeah, thanks for the, thanks for
I'm,
just
I'm
this.
I'm trying to be more disciplined in my interjections.
Okay, thank you for that too, but also thank you for disrupting my somewhat quarter-century old workflow that I polished and honed and spent a lifetime's worth of career getting good at. Anyway,
You're welcome.
anyway,
Yeah.
so in a nutshell, the largest difference that I've noticed today is that it makes sense to actually pass the entire code base into the context window because it's free. Before, when it wasn't free, even though I tried to tell myself don't worry about the money, because it was so expensive, I guess subconsciously I sort of resisted. Since it's all you can eat, and since the quality of the output is so darn good, I have taken to handing in the entire contents of every file, even to ask the simplest of questions.
That's interesting.
Now, let me show
Because
you
you
how I did
can,
it.
yeah. I'm going to shut up and let you just talk until you say stop.
Okie dokie. Let me show you. Let me show you. So I made a little tool. Sent you a link to that tool. Can I guess that you didn't?
No, I did, and installed it and tried to run it, and it gave me an error.
What was
But
the error?
um, oh, it doesn't matter. I'll just stick it through Pro and fix it.
Okie dokie. So here's what it does. I'll give you an explanation just because you'll need it later, and you might as well have it now. Let's go into one of your favorite repositories, the reasoning repository.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
// reasoning. Here we go. Okie dokie. Now, the tool is published on JSR, but what's interesting about it is that it scores 100% on the JSR score.
What does that mean?
That means that it has all these best practices built into it.
How did you get 100%?
To be honest, I didn't. This entire module was written by O1 Pro. I think it looks pretty good. It scored 100% on the quality settings on JSR, and it was maybe 5 different threads, which produced 3 different versions as I used the tool and realized it needed modifications. So I don't really place much value on writing code initially. The value comes from, can I refactor, can I modify, can I change the code? Because that's when it gets really hard, because anyone can, like blank sheet of
Any
paper to
complex
something.
system.
Yeah,
That's the gnarly stuff.
right. That's where you really hit resistance, and your speed just dies, right? But here's what it does. The whole thing straight out of O1 Pro. What it does for you is probably what everyone cares about. So I'm in the reasoning directory.
Mm-hmm.
I have installed this tool called concat. I'll just check the version number. Okay, version 0.3, that's correct. Okay, cool. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go concat everything in this directory recursively, mind you, that ends in .md.
So this is just a concatenation tool.
Uh, yes, thank you for reducing it down to such a
Sorry,
minimum
I'm
thing.
just for my
Um,
understanding. All right, okay.
it's a
Got it.
concatenation tool, but
Yeah.
what it does for you is, oh, actually, it looks like I pulled in all of the .git folder as well, so I'll just maybe not. I'll stick to the domains.
Uh-huh.
Wait. So I want everything in every directory named star.md, and I'm going to output it to dump.md. Okay, go.
Okay.
Sorry, this is. I needed a space. My bad. Okay, now there you go. Processed 135 files, wrote them all to dump.md. The number of O1 tokens was 248,000, so you know you're
Oh.
out.
Uh, oh. Um. Sorry, I thought you were in command line. You're not in command line.
I am in
Okay.
command line, but what I included in there is a token counter, so that you know the context window size of what you're doing.
Oh, I see. Oh,
And
right. Okay.
right, and so that's
I would withdraw my previous comment
yeah,
about
yes,
concat.
yeah. So this is a list of all the files that it pulled in. Obviously, it pulled in some files that were really big, like all the narrations, all the transcripts,
Yeah, there's
all
some
that,
files
right?
there.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the point I'm trying to make is that everything together is a grand total of twice the context window size,
Yeah.
which is to say that all in all, it's actually not very much. You know, like if I was to say,
Ignore inventor notebook, for example, um, because that's where the big ones with transcripts and messiness.
like if I just go into domains,
Mm.
then I get a mere 26 kilotokens,
Okay.
right? And now the format, I hear you ask, is all I've done is I've done like so ASCII armor is a format for encoding sensitive data in a way that survives all known computing systems text mangling ability, because if you give someone a text file, depending on what machine they're running, it's going to come back a
Yeah.
little bit odd, right? So I
Yeah.
figured, well, this thing knows about these demarcation lines, and so everything has this demarcation, and then the relative path to the file, and then at the end of it, it has end file,
Okay.
and
I'm
then
starting
that
to get
thing.
excited now. Yeah.
I knew you
Okay.
would, right? Now I can
Yeah.
take that whole thing, right? Copy it,
Yeah.
right? Because that's
and
easy.
it's 27K.
Yeah, 27
Dump it in.
kilotokens, and then I'm like, rank the best 5 ideas in these files, and count the number of files.
Boom. Okay. This should be trivial for it.
Trivia, right? So anyway, I mean that's kind of the point. And so been getting really good results with that. And so what I've done over in my side of the fence, um, if I load up the user interface,
Mm-hmm.
and so I've been doing the same technique on the user interface, and instead of um, I kind of don't need. In a way, it's better than Cursor because I'm guaranteed to get the entire stack.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm like,
So if you concat what you're interested in at this time, that is your context, and so you don't need to do the consider at. and so on.
Well, yeah. So the way that you specify the path here is sort of the consider at in a way.
Uh,
And now
can you
all
can
because
you do
I
that, son?
well I can separate. So here I'm purposefully separating out some folders and some files,
Yeah.
and so that's the scoping, like the consider at part, right?
How does but you end up with correct me if I'm wrong with one dump.md.
Yes.
So when it ingests these 62k tokens,
Yeah.
how does it know what to prioritize?
Well, it doesn't, because if you wanted to prioritize something more, you should have referred to it by file name. So you're I'll give you an example or
Yeah.
a demonstration. Sorry. Um, so here's done. Now, what's I know that the um, it's not as friendly as it could be. Okay, but without API access, you're gonna have to just
We're not very friendly anyway, so I wouldn't worry about
well, you can speak for yourself, but um,
it.
the what would you like to ask? Like, for example, what is the purpose of the queries file? Um,
Yeah, sure, we'll go for that
yeah,
one. I've got other ones that would be interesting
yeah,
because
give him to me, because the other thing that I've been playing with is the fact that you can ask multiple instructions in one hit. You know, normally we had the pattern of one thing only. Don't confuse the machine; it'll get cross-eyed. It kind of does okay.
okay, well, here's an example
Hit it. Yeah.
of
What?
now. Yesterday I said it's probably going to be 2 or 3 days before I have anything useful. But what I was doing yesterday was doing query strings, something like consider. No, can you go into the reasoning folder or repo?
Oh, this is the entire code base of the UI front end. It's not the reasoning
All right. Okay.
folder.
Okay. These are not exact
Yeah.
because it's from memory, and I can't see my laptop because it's still
Yeah.
not connecting to my VR. But it's something. You remember, I've got uh, there's reasoning, there's three C's,
Yeah.
then there's definitions.
Yeah.
So I've been saying something like prioritize the reasoning. You must always adhere to this. Now consider the definitions. Tell me where the definitions fail in terms of the reasoning.
Oh, okay. I will ask that question, but this is a different set of files, so
Sure, yeah. But
I
you
can't
get
I
where I'm talking about.
yeah.
It's like this is important, this is less important, and this is what I want. Is
Okay.
the kind of structure of that.
So the other job just finished. It counted 79 files. I think that might have been an error.
Just
Total files processed 79. Oh, okay, fine. That was right. Number of files 79. Right. So the point I was trying to make here is that this dumping format, it like Cursor's doing something like that in the background anyway, because it has to stuff it all into the context window of the LLM, and so you may be able to find for us a better demarcation or a line break system, but all I'm indicating is that this initial version that I've made, which I actually wasn't actually my idea, it was O1's idea when I was like, how do I demarcate files in an LLM context window? And it was like, you should do this. And I was like, that's a
well,
good idea.
here's a thing I'd like you to try inside of this one. So if you scroll up, let me get you an example
Scroll where?
test. If you scroll up, I just want to see the dump file.
Can I just navigate it in the actual?
Yeah, sure. Because
Yeah.
I don't know my way
Okay.
around this.
Where do you want?
So
What
what
do you
I'm
want?
looking for is asking a question where one folder inside that dump file, which you should be able to refer to
Yeah.
somehow.
Yeah.
This section of the dump file is more important than this other section.
Oh yeah. Okay. I think I got you. Um,
I say this is awesome.
Okay, so what do you want to say? So you want to say the folder innovation
Hmm. Yeah.
is the top priority. Treating that as gospel.
Yeah.
Now what?
Refer to a target.
Refer to what do I
Some
want?
other.
Decentralized AI.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Just very curious to see. This is how I
And what do you
don't.
want to do?
Um, Now, this particular example, I'm not entirely sure. You
Just
know.
tell me something, anything.
Right. Uh, Tell me any uh, logical fallacies inside of decentralized AI. Yeah, I like that. Even curiosity. Yeah,
Yeah, is that
yeah,
good?
yeah. That's good. The reason I'm interested in this one is because having don't don't argue about this. Here's your target. This is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Is
So
really useful.
basically, following the chain of command
Yeah,
is what you're testing, right?
yeah.
All right. And now we'll go back to this other job. Um, so when I give it the whole code base, it does not think for very long. It doesn't take very long. It almost doesn't affect its speed of outcome any way whatsoever. And at the same time, O1 Pro doesn't appear to get confused by large amounts of data, because some of that behavior where we had restricted the amount of input data because we didn't want it to get confused
Yeah.
um, is appears to be not so much an issue anymore.
Is that a factor that code is highly information rich?
Possibly like a working code base versus one that was nefariously written, but moreover, when I was getting it to asking some questions about the reasoning repository anyway, it
Mm-hmm.
was past every file in that folder, and I was like, what's in that whole repo? And I was like, what's wrong with this? Where's inconsistencies? And it spotted like spelling mistakes, um, two
Oh,
locations where you had used the wrong acronym for
that's
NAP, and so it
so
feels like
useful.
it
That's
feels
so
like it
useful.
has an almost like uh, a higher pixel count, like it has a higher definition. It can almost see all the tokens in the full context window, whereas it gave me the feeling that with 4.0, if you gave it a full context window, it would be blunted, like the it
Yeah.
would come through muted.
Remember about I don't know 6, maybe 8 months ago. I was talking about 4.0 prioritizing information at the start and at the
Yeah,
end,
yeah,
and in the middle, it kind of yeah, not so much.
yeah.
So what you're
Okay,
saying is it's what is it, pixel. Yeah, it's the
it
resolution is higher and is considered
if
all
yeah, the
fully considered.
resolution, it feels like the resolution is full, like it's no
Mm,
longer damped down or something. And
mm,
part of why that is, so it one of the guys from OpenAI was giving a talk, and he was saying that there's a trade-off to be had between like he called it system one training, where you're like doing these like uh $200 million training exercises,
yeah.
and what happens there is that the when you want to get a response, it'll cost you like less than a cent to get one response.
Yeah.
Or you could do a $10 million training exercise, but it would cost you maybe 20 cents, 50 cents for a query. So the less system one training you do, the longer you have to
Oh,
wait and the
that's
more you have to
interesting.
pay to get a similar quality output. But what they're saying is that
Mm,
with the O1 style of reasoning, you can
Mm.
simply balance those two competing calculation costs. So you can
Mm-hmm.
have, sure, you can have a big training exercise, but you can also get really high quality by just burning more joules on generating the output.
Yeah, that seems to make sense. What I'm seeing is it appears internally now they haven't released what the internals are for Pro yet, but what I think they're doing is a kind of multi-step process where the very first step is what's the topic you're talking about, and then it will probably, I think, go into the correct training model that actually addresses what you're asking for. So, if you're asking for a maths problem, it's not interested in Aztec history.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, that's right. It's like it activates portions of the brain based
yeah.
on, like it's, yeah, yeah. So, I
So,
mean, yeah, so what are we
what's
doing now? Like, what do you
what's the
want to see?
result of that? Yeah,
Here.
what's that? Okay, so let me see. Uh, Organizations going on stuff. Yeah, I'll start building here. That's pretty good. Okay, so there's a pattern here that you've discovered. What happened when you tried to dump the 246K? Dump
It errors and says the message is
just
too big.
just don't ask me. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah. But I thought it was actually pretty useful having the token output because you're like it gives you a good sense of scale.
It does.
Like
It's really useful.
26K is a lot of headroom. So and particularly if you keep following that pattern of just re-editing the first message or the second message with an additional prompt, um,
Yes.
it feels most useful to edit the second message because the first message you can use the output as something to sort of boost off of or leverage off of when you
Mm-hmm.
and the second one you just keep re-editing the second prompt because the first output anchors the model into.
Yeah. The way I've been doing that when we cared about tokens, now we don't, it's less useful, was I'm about to give you a chunk of stuff. When you've
Yeah,
understood it, say, got it.
yeah, right.
Um, but that seems superfluous now.
Yeah,
Um,
these are actually not
this
bad points.
oh, this is conceptual tension, or at least a major practical limitation not addressed against a coordinated refusal of resource providers not to be a single entity could deprive the agent of the computational means to run. Huh.
That's quite clever. A coordinated
That's
refusal of resource providers could deprive the agent of the computational means to
it's
run,
just found
effectively
an attack
halting.
vector.
Well, it was always there. It's just
Well,
saying that it needs to be addressed more directly.
that's
Um,
that's really interesting.
yeah.
Um, okay, all right. So tell me, if we to pop one up the stack, you were telling me about the use of this on using NL and LLM logic as the kind of entry point to code.
Yeah. So what I started doing was bringing in the components of artifact. Um, that was not it. Yeah, just bringing in whole modules of artifact.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like this one. And, like being able to generate a range of tests that, you know,
Did it? Was it able to reason without running any problems?
yeah, like when I copy it over, it has next to no errors. If it does have an error, what I've been doing is feeding it back into the prompt. The errors have been uh, how do I describe them? Like something changed in how it generates code output, where the code output is stable. Like you know how you have those sorting algorithms where like stable sort is like a good property of a sort. Like if
Mm-hmm.
you run it twice,
Mm-hmm.
you still have the same
Yep.
thing. And so the code that it's generating now, when I look at it in a diff, is actually like in a 200 line file, I might have say 6 lines different, and it was actually a completely new generation. Like it tries to hold the if if it had one of a code file as the example and it's being asked to fix it, the output
Mm-hmm.
is always minimally different, whereas before it used to be
Ah,
wildly different.
I've spotted that from the completely different direction. What I've noticed is I actually got confused with tabs yesterday
Mm.
because the output was remarkably the same, and I thought, oh, I'm in the wrong tab.
Yeah, right. Which is how it should
Um,
be. So they've somehow solved that problem, which is great. Um, I've been asking it to do reverse reasoning. So, for example, this thing, I gave it code. I gave it code that had no requirements and asked it to infer what the requirements were.
oh, yeah, okay. We
And
talked about that yesterday as well.
yeah, and
How did that work?
really well,
Okay.
really
Yeah.
well. Um, the only prompt difference I had to do was some of the errors it was making were actually quite hard for me to spot. Like, so it was correct enough that I couldn't. The errors were non-obvious. Like, I actually had to sit there and read the whole thing line by line before I was like, oh, wait. This
Mm-hmm.
bit's like it actually is quite a mental workout to properly appraise what it says, because it sounds really good and it is actually it's logically correct now as well. Whereas 4.0 was just sounded right, and then you read it and you're like, that sort of doesn't quite make internal sense.
It's sounded right, and it's 1,000 words, and you clean
Yeah,
up one
yeah. Whereas
sentence.
this I have yet to see it say anything that contradicted itself in a single output. So each time it
Hmm.
outputs, it doesn't appear to do contradictions. Like 4.0 could easily do a contradiction and would just shamelessly be like, yeah, so what? But this thing,
Yeah, and then would apologize. It's like, oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I'll
sorry
do it
about that.
properly this
Yeah,
time.
yeah. But you're
Yeah,
like, I don't want to sorry. I want you to not do it. But
yeah.
this one doesn't seem to make those errors.
Hmm.
So how did it go? Well, really well. I got an acceptable outcome, which is sort of saying quite a bit actually. Um, and so what I'm trying to do here is to reverse engineer from the code I've got in the existing repository to reverse out the specs to save me having to do the specs, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
and
Absolutely.
and the plan I have, the approach, these these are all the packages, the code modules, the naps that are going to make up the core of Artifact. Um, and so what I'm doing now is going through and reverse specifying them
Yep.
so that I can then cut it into a higher layer, where the higher layer is reasoning about the interface between the modules and the modules as a whole. And
That sh-
so
that that should be. You should get good results from that.
yeah, because what I can do there is using the concat tool that I made, I can like if I name the reasoning for each module readme, then what that means is that I can pull in all of the readme files as a dump. So concat output dump.md, and if I go */* dot
You got two slashes there.
did I Christ almighty star slash readme dot md,
Right.
right? You
And
get what I mean?
now
So now I've skimmed out that layer.
that's
I
now you've got discovery. That's discovery.
yeah, but now I can edit those files independent of the isolated development that is derived from them, which means that this
Yeah.
is sort of what I was getting at, where I'm saying like, okay, look, all the readmes across the whole project are 5 kilotokens. You shouldn't. There's no need to see the whole thing all the time. You know, like,
It's in fact is folly to try
yeah,
and read the whole thing.
yeah. And so pulling in the entire code base of a module is an entirely reasonable thing to do, because you've got the spec for the module, you've got the code for the module, the tests, you've got some documentation,
Hmm.
all those kinds of things. That's relevant for the model to consider as a whole. If that ever goes above 128 kilotokens, I'm like, what are you even doing? You know, like the module's too big at that point.
It's almost like it's a good thing to have a 128K limit, right? If
Yeah, I don't know why the limit is 128k, but it feels like more than adequate, and it feels like your problems are elsewhere if you need it to be bigger. Like
yeah,
the context window isn't your problem, and so this next layer is like that's pure reasoning. So there's no code there. It's just, how do these things talk to each other? What's their purpose? What's their limitations? And then what I would do
right.
from that is I would connect this layer up again, like do like a summary, and connect that up to the reasoning repo where
So
it's
let's try one layer and then let's try that because it's only a couple lines to put in. Okay, so you're in reasoning. You know, this is an AI. This is not command line. You're saying so. Um, say if give me an operation of an artifact tool. Doesn't matter which one.
so
Um,
you want to take the top level reasoning of everything, which is
and then
incomplete, and then you want to
yeah,
say, give me a
which tool can help me do X, where X is one of the artifact tools, and
well, I can, which tool? Oh, they're not really tools, are they? Like, which
mm,
module is?
yeah,
Oh, I got a better idea. What about,
mm,
what is a nap, and which module, if any, creates them or manages
yeah, okay,
the
that's
format? Right,
okay,
that's a nice,
yeah,
yeah,
that's good.
okay,
That's good. All
that's a
right,
good one. That's a
let's
good
have
one.
a look.
While we're waiting, Sora was released today. I'm not sure if you saw that.
I tried to use it. I'm not allowed to use it in the in UK.
Oh, because you
I'm
guys have
geo
got.
blocked.
Oh,
I'm geo
because you're.
blocked.
Yeah.
It's
Sucks to
fucker
be in the
actually.
UK.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
was quite excited about that. But did you
What?
ever play with it?
Nah, because it got flooded by everyone trying to log in. So
All
this
right.
is actually part of our pro subscriptions. Like, we get unlimited use of Sora as well. Like, the pro subscription is sort of a bit of a bonanza, it seems.
I'm hoping that the fact that the UK is locked out is not for legal reasons, just
is
for rollout
is that a
reasons.
Pegasus? Nah, it's probably yeah.
It's a Pegasus. There you go.
Pegasus.
We'll tell him.
So the thing that struck me about this, and it sort of makes sense, at least to me, why they abandoned image generation,
Hmm.
is because one of the ills of image generation is the reliability of generating a derivation of a particular image.
Yeah,
And so,
right. Which you
right,
need for film. Yeah.
right. But now what sorry, say that again?
Well, the whole point of the film is essentially 25 or 30 frames,
That are
and
derivations,
it's
right? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So,
exactly.
this not only allows you to generate stills that have good inheritance of the refinement that you're trying to make. So they're tweakable, instead of, with the current range of image generators, you get this whole new thing, which can be quite frustrating.
Hmm.
But the key, like, if you look closely at these images that have been generated here,
Hmm.
The key that I think is what they've been chasing is that these are physics correct, right? Like watch the sand under the hooves of the Pegasus,
Oh,
right? Right?
you see that in the water? Look at the ripples.
It's like they've figured out
Those
something about the way that physics works because all of these images have correct physics.
it looks it's close enough for the human eye, right?
Yeah, you can't tell where the physics breaks down. Like you can't analyze the physics enough.
Yeah,
Um, and like look at like the reflections, right?
yeah,
The geometrically accurate.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so what I don't think video is the thing that they're actually trying to shoot for here. It's physics that they're trying to go for because if you have a model that understands physics enough, then you can navigate the world.
Well, they probably already got. I mean, physics is well understood and well specified.
Yeah, but
It's the it's the render though.
not really. Physics is not well. It's not
Okay,
well tokenized.
dancing sushi is weird. Okay,
Yeah,
I
but
didn't see that
even
one.
look at the shadow on the chopsticks, which are round, right? Like it's physics
Ye-
correct, right? Even
yeah, but
look, there's transclusion of the salmon onto the shadow so that it was partially illuminated in the color of the salmon. It was partially transparent.
do you have access to this?
No, because it got flooded. This thing
Uh,
stops us. But
right.
anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that physics is coming soon. Like video is just a gimmick, but that is physics.
Yeah, but again, taking a step back, biophysics is just a well formed body of knowledge which they are imposing on a lower level of output,
No,
saying,
no, no, no.
I think,
They've learned physics. Physics is physics. It's not programmed in. It's inferred. Just like it didn't get
yes, no, I
right.
agree with
That's
that. I
different.
agree with
That's
that.
different.
Yeah, that's not what I'm saying.
That's very different.
But the thing is the output, the images. So the reason I was hoping that you had access, and hopefully we will in the next few days, um, I'd love to. You remember one of those very first Pixar ray tracing films with
Yes.
the angle poised lamp?
Yep.
Um, Now, if they can get that right, because the whole point of an angle poised lamp is it's got, I think it's called umbrage, and it's the you've got the umbra, you've got the subumbra. So the bright bit, the slightly
Yep.
less bright bit, and you've got reflections
Yep.
and
Yep.
so on. It is incredibly expensive to do that. Now, if they have learned about that, or if the models have learned about that, or inferred that.
Well, like what lighting technique do you find amiss here? Right? There's ambient occlusion.
Oh,
There's
this
reflection.
top right,
There's
top right.
diffusion.
Yeah.
Right? There's it's um what you would typically use textures for.
The
Like
thing
there's
is, it's it might not be completely correct. In that ray tracing would be completely correct, but it's
no
incredibly
ray tracing.
expensive.
Ray tracing is actually not correct because ray tracing doesn't capture movement. Like these guys, it's not just the lighting that's correct. It's the way the mass the subjects have mass. Like
Ah, oh, I see what you're
you know
saying.
what I mean? Like
We're not
it's
just talking about light here, are we? Look
nah
at that
no
guy leaning forwards.
it's not a graphics engine. It's not a graphics engine, but it
That guy
does
leaning,
it has
yeah,
physics, right? It has physics correction. He's got momentum,
he
right?
has, and his upper body
He's got
is
skeletal
moving
structure,
faster.
like, and
Yeah,
that's better than mocap, right? Like it's not.
it is better than mocap, and
And like, look at that rug. Like that's like
as
fucking
a
someone's
as a
fluffy ass rug with fur.
man, I reached out to an old mate of mine, Chris Van der Kuil, um, about 4 or 5 months ago, and saying, "You guys better be paying attention to this because you're gonna get
Yeah. So
prompt-based games
yeah,
pretty soon."
this I'd say that Sora is just the beginning of a physics engine, actually, and that I don't know how it's going to be delivered to us exactly. Video is not it, but actually being able to generate like parts or mechanical assemblies, um, being able to iterate on them using generation, like that
I,
sort of sounds like
I,
what's coming.
yeah, I agree with that, but I'm seeing something above that. So the email sent off to Chris, and I'm sure he's working on this. But the point I was making is if you add in, for example, the reasoning on the world in a similar kind of structured way that we're doing reasoning on an app, then a game can be generated on the fly that is, like Grand Theft Auto, which so
Yeah, so
it's an
the
infinite
win,
game basically.
yeah, the winning hit there is going to be like how we talk about having this live companion that's listening in while we're talking, it's transcribing and it's sort
Yeah,
of doing, yeah.
yeah,
So the game would have that, and the game would be generating ahead of you based on how you're doing and how your friends are doing,
right,
and
right,
it'll be feedback generated. So it's not like it wasn't ever programmed and written to a CD-ROM. It's like
yeah,
it doesn't actually
exactly.
exist
Um,
until you go into it.
now this is not something that we should spend too much time on, but it's fun.
All right,
So
all right. So
for
let's bounce out
two,
of it then.
well, just one or 2 minutes on it because I think it really is fun. So, if you did
Mate, is it
an
possible?
RPG,
Yeah, is it possible to park it and you could write that down in the inventor's notebook or something? Because we're both very time constrained here.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
All right.
good point, well made. Yes,
Okay. So here's the output from that question you put in. It took
right.
24 seconds.
An app is a self-contained standardized application package defined by strict configuration rules, such as having a nap.json export. NAP tools module outlines and enforces. Why does it not say that the NAP is a conjunction between a JSON and an NL description? I wonder why it's not picked that up. Maybe we
I don't
haven't
know.
actually.
Yeah. Well, no.
Maybe
Like, I
we haven't.
mean, you. This is
Um,
not complete. Like, you just asked me to give it a question that was
yeah,
incomplete.
no. The point I'm making is that is a render, okay, and I've just spotted a
Yeah, but that's not really fair because like the input data was incorrect. Like if I go back and look at what the actual so it picked up that the module in charge of that was the NapTools module, and then if you look at the README for that, this is all it had to go on,
right.
which
Okay.
isn't. I haven't. Like that's really not.
No, no, no,
That's not done.
no. The process is fucking powerful.
All right.
Um,
So anyway, all I was trying to show you is where I got this tool, um, so that I can help you get going with it.
okay,
Um,
Grant. Right. So, first of all, thank you for that tool. And other than my own personal meat brain reasoning, yesterday feels like a bit of a waste of time now because I was trying to do something similar and getting great results. This is
because you
kicking
needed that tool, right?
rocks.
Like
Yeah,
you needed that dump, the
uh,
ability to
yeah.
dump it. Yeah.
I
So
didn't even know I needed it, and it's like, oh man, that's brilliant.
yeah. So give me when you use it, just let me know if you want some changes to it, and I'll go in and make them.
Where does it dump to? What's your
You have to specify the output file, but because you just go see
what
dash dash output, and then you specify the file.
are you in cursor here or are you in something else?
In cursor, yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right.
And yeah, it even gave me like a party emoji at the end, which I
Why?
thought,
Woohoo! I wrote a dump. Hey.
yeah, I mean,
That's
it's
quite
cool.
that's quite nice. Um
What
Great.
else is
So
there? So I'm sort of like a bit stunned, I guess, because I'm like, well, now my job seems kind of clear. I have to go through all these
yeah.
packages and reverse reason them so that I can reason across the whole lot.
Well, interesting enough, um, uh, your and my job seems to be converging because what I'm working on, as we were talking about last time, is reasoning about reasoning, and you're reasoning about code.
Mm.
And it seems to be very similar. Um,
Yeah, yeah. So where does that leave us?
it leaves us in just doing it. So, unfortunately, I'm going to have to fix this. I still can't show my computer screen up on here for some reason. I think I probably update something wrong. I don't know. I'll check it.
Mm.
Um, but so what I've been doing is taking the definitions, which I hand cranked around the cycle, and then cut and pasting those, which this concat tool will be hugely useful for.
Mm.
Um, uh, but I was getting poor results into okay, so what for any set of definitions, what are the top level rules? So I just decided out blue sky that it had to do with the three C's. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, what else is there?
Right. Okay. Yeah. Be careful with that because you could go on forever there. We only really. How will you know that you've made an improvement in that area? Like, what is the area of exercise where those iterative improvements are applied, so that we can know that we're actually getting something somewhere, getting better.
Well, without evals, all we got is renders, and so I'm using renders.
What? Yeah.
Uh,
So, what renders are you using?
I've just thrown up um, a kind of proxy test bed around the CRM. And then I'm trying to make changes as a CRM would do. Um,
You
a
mean
CRM,
like what kind of changes? Like modifying a customer record type of change? You mean?
no. So we've got the so we've got the schema, which comes from the definitions,
Yeah.
and then I've just got a whole bunch of synthetic data. And then I'm changing definitions and trying to figure out how to get it to reason about the impact, you know, the consequences and unintended consequences on the end data based
Right.
on renders. That's the route I'm going down at the moment. Might not be right, but this will help.
Where are you trying to get to? Because I'm still have not had fully delivered from you the gaps between cursor and the reasoning workbench that you want.
Yeah, that's because I don't know them yet in order to be fully coherent.
But
But
you know some of them, right?
yeah, and we went through the ones that I knew
Yeah. Can
yesterday.
you capture them for me so I can have them in a file somewhere that I can
Yeah, sure.
reason about?
Yeah. We can do
Because
that.
otherwise I'm doing your job
Yeah.
because
No
I'm having
worries.
to.
Yeah, but so I think yesterday I said it was probably going to be 2 or 3 days. This tool helps a lot, but that's the route I'm going down. Is that
Okay.
it's very difficult to reason about reasoning without something concrete,
Yeah, I'm just
render,
well.
for me to see.
I mean, I'm maybe it's premature to be reasoning about the reasoning because like what? Okay, I only spent a day on it, but what's taken so long for me
Hmm.
is I'm still trying to figure out the process as I go of how to like reverse
Yeah,
out these specs, right?
that's basically what I'm doing as well. When you
Yeah,
talk about
yeah,
reasoning,
but
it's like how do I change something? Um,
maybe it's too soon to know enough about how to even do brute force inelegant unassisted reasoning. Maybe it's you need to do more of that before you can tackle meta
okay, that's
reasoning,
it's a
right?
fair point.
Because it is
Yeah,
dangerous
go on.
what you're attempting. It is very dangerous because you don't have any anchors to stop you going too far, or there's also no direct benefits from the work that you're doing, because the next layer down is things like the innovation reasoning, the decentralized AI reasoning, the interfaces reasoning,
Yeah.
right? Those
Okay.
things those things can be done without meta reasoning. They can be done without meta,
Mm.
right?
Yeah, yeah. What I was doing, I think I agree with you actually.
Okay.
Given the experience of yesterday, and I'll explain why. Because I need to go in roughly 10 minutes, 15 minutes ish. Um, the reason I was doing that is the meta reasoning is actually I think will appear really small, and
That makes it even more dangerous, because like if it's really small and you're not sure where you're going, you could cover a lot of ground and not find it.
so what's your advice then?
My advice is to come one level down, do
Uh-huh.
do the innovation reasoning, do the decentralized AI reasoning, um, do the there was another component that slipped my mind, but we listed out what the domains were,
Yep,
right?
yep, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, if you do the even if you just did the innovation and the decentralized AI reasoning using O1 Pro, which will give you a far superior result to what we got out of basically Claude, who's looking like a
All right, okay, I see what you're saying.
right.
And
Like
yeah, yeah,
you
no,
have not hit
I
these things
agree,
with
I
Pro. You
agree.
have not hit these things with like $5 worth of tokens to get a one-liner answer back. You haven't hit it with that kind of machine, and so if you do that, you will first of all learn about the process of reasoning as applies to the new tool that's arrived for us, as well as
Yep,
moving,
yeah,
right.
I agree,
But
I agree.
I benefit from that. I benefit from that directly because I'm about to catch you up. I'm about to I'm about to run dry because I'm like, well, I've done my part, and now where's the rest, right? Because right,
Yeah, yeah.
and
All
that's
right.
kind of silly. That's kind of silly because my side is a lot of code, and it was typically very slow. But I'm about to catch up to you in terms of where's the specs, because
Yeah,
I've made these modules. I've
you're in
made these
scramjet mode,
modules.
aren't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm like, where are you? Where's the reasoning domains that I need to clip into so that we
Right.
can merge, right?
Okay. No, that's straightforward enough. And uh, yesterday was useful work, and I'll park that. But really, what you're saying, just to reflect back, make sure I understand this, is that I'm working inside of each domain
Yeah,
and using my meat brain as the meta reasoner for now,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and then
yeah.
hey,
And
we'll figure
at
out.
the same time, I also need to know if no, I need to know from you what are the shortcomings of Cursor as a reasoning workbench. I think that question is no longer as relevant as it was, because now we're using O1 Pro and nothing else. But
Yeah,
the general gist of it is like, okay, I've given you this collation tool or concatenation tool, fine.
yeah.
What else? What other tools are you gonna want? Because I need to figure out how to
I mean,
reconcile that
I
into the
I
things I'm
I
building.
can't remember the last time you asked me to actually add something to your stack.
I'm gonna
So
eat you. I'm gonna wipe you out. I'm gonna overrun you. I'm gonna overrun you at the at
no.
this rate. I will overrun you.
No. I'm way ahead. No, I'm not way ahead. Actually,
You're not. You're actually
you're fucking
behind.
at my shoulder. You're at my shoulder. I know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I'm
Yeah.
also coming with code, with running code that can amplify the effect. So you're gonna get overrun unless you hurry up and deliver on these central pieces.
All right. So what I suggest then is today, what we'll do is, again, we're running out of time. Maybe we want to leave a bit of time to do an upload and like a
Okay, sweet.
debrief.
All right.
But
So we'll cut
what
it.
I'm going
We'll cut it there.
no, not yet,
No, no, no. Okay,
because
premature. Okay.
yeah, what I want to do is state because it's very useful in this transcript.
Yep.
Um, just to be clear, today what I'm going to be doing is using my own meat brain in order to do the meta reasoning in order to get the definitions of the domains that we mentioned yesterday
Yep.
and get some kind of cycle out of that, which will be manual in my head.
Yep.
But then at least we get a bit of traction.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, the very first thing I'm going to do right after this, and hopefully before you go to bed, in case there's any snags,
Yep.
I'm going to get this concat tool installed and usable.
Sweet.
So I know
Excellent.
I have that.
If you do
So,
that, I promise you that the meta reasoning will just be trivial at some point in the future. Maybe a few weeks from now, you'll be like, "Oh, that's easy," and you'll just do it.
I think you're right. And
Yeah.
yesterday was quite painful doing it long form. So
Yeah.
I'm very happy to
Okay.
have done that.
All right. So I'll stop the stream.
Yeah.
Eh?